All right, we're ready to begin. Thank you very much. I'm Senator Dave Severson from Cherry Valley, Northern Illinois. 16 days ago, we had a press conference here, and at that time we had urged the governor in announcing his budget to put the priority of citizens of Illinois over those of non-citizens. The next day, the governor introduced his budget, and at that time, we noticed over $1 billion of tax increases, and not surprisingly, there was also $1 billion of new costs for non-citizens. However, the question we're raising now is that $1 billion really enough? Are we getting the real costs? Due to the use of executive orders and how funds are moved around from agency to agency, it's almost impossible for us to get the true accounting. As a legislature, and on behalf of our taxpayers, we'd like to know what the true costs of this growing migration problem is to the state of Illinois, both to our state's budget, but also the impact to local governments as well. And so that's what we're here today to talk about. So to make some further comments, I'd like to turn it over to Senator Turner.
Thanks for being here today. I'm Sally Turner. Sally Turner, Senator in the 44th. And again, thanks for being here today, and thank you, Senator Severson. As my colleague said, we've seen a serious lack of transparency from the governor's office when it comes to migrant spending. And instead of coming to the legislature to negotiate funding for this population, he has time and time again issued executive orders to circumvent the legislature completely. And this allows him to move huge amounts of money, of our taxpayer dollars, with little or no accountability. We've reached out to agencies under his control to ask basic questions such as, what are specific lines in the state budget? What are they being used for to address this migrant crisis? How much has been spent on all the services impacting the migrant population? Are other state agencies that we don't know about involved with the funding of migrant crisis? Our questions have been met with silence. What is clear is that there's a wide range of agencies that have a role in providing these services to migrants. From the Department of Public Health to Human Services, IEMA, and the State Board of Education, among others, a lot of resources have been expended. If the governor is going to come to the people of this state and propose nearly $1 billion in tax increases that we know of, or on migrants, the least we can do is ask him to be transparent about how much is being spent and what it is being spent on. And now I'd like to turn it over to our leader, Curran.
Thank you, Senator Turner. I'm Senate Republican Leader John Curran. There's no doubt that Governor Pritzker's non-citizen welfare policies have exhausted state resources and helped create the largest migrant crisis in the Midwest. As you have heard from my colleagues, Governor Pritzker has exploited executive authority with emergency disaster proclamations and orders to circumvent traditional transparency and procurement procedures. These gimmicks and loopholes make it impossible to know exactly how many tax dollars are being spent on the migrant crisis he created. You would think that a transparent accounting of how much Illinois citizens are paying for the governor's non-citizen welfare programs would be a simple, reasonable request. Yet our very basic questions have continued to go unanswered by the governor's administration. That is why we have introduced Senate Bill 3170 to give Illinois taxpayers much needed transparency on the migrant crisis Governor Pritzker has created. My legislation would require the Department of Human Services and other relevant state agencies to compile a report on all state spending and services and resources for non-citizens coming to Illinois. This vital information will provide necessary details for the legislature as we consider the governor's request for $1 billion additional taxpayer dollars to fund his migrant crisis. It would also require more information on contracts awarded to organizations providing services and resources, including basic needs, legal and employment services, education, housing, and healthcare. We believe this information is of great interest to Illinois families who are continuing to struggle with increased costs. They certainly deserve answers before they begin shelling out more than $1 billion in increased taxes that the governor has proposed to continue to fund the crisis he has created. Instead of buckling down and course correcting, the governor is trying to balance his ever-increasing budget on the backs of those who can least afford it. He is disrespecting the citizens of this state by refusing to provide such simple, transparent accounting of state spending. Keep in mind, this is not the governor's money. This is the people's money. The governor decided to use taxpayer dollars to transform Illinois into a preeminent non-citizen welfare state to position himself on the national stage. He has not been putting Illinoisans first. That decision has a cost. We're here simply calling on the governor to be honest about what that price tag really is. We need the governor to stop prioritizing his national ambitions and think Illinois. With that, I'll take any questions.
How far does this go? Is it just state agencies, or is it addressing the lack of transparency with how Chicago's spending money?
This is just state tax dollars, state agencies. However, this would show how much money state tax dollars are going to Chicago, and the receipts would show how that's being spent by Chicago. This is certainly also provides a roadmap for the city of Chicago to follow and pass a similar ordinance, Chicago City Council, to be transparent and honest with their residents.
Do we have any indication as to what the per migrant cost is at all?
You
Is
can't-
that something you're trying to get at?
You can't get at that without a full, transparent accounting of how much is being spent. The governor is refusing to provide that information.
How is this plan different than the new online portal that the comptroller's office launched just last month? Just trying to see if
Sure.
they can complement each other or anything along that sort.
No, I mean, look, that's a great question. The comptroller on her portal makes it very clear this is not all state spending. The comptroller is only capturing dollars that come through the comptroller's office. I applaud her for doing that, but that is not all state spending. There's certainly there is other spending going on that doesn't run through the comptroller's office. We want to capture it all.
Have you had any conversations with the comptroller or her office about working together on capturing all that spending?
The comptroller only has access to the information coming through her office. She's putting it up there. We want it all. And the only place to get that is the governor's administration, and they're refusing to answer questions.
Why would, or why wouldn't, the governor want to listen to the Senate Republican caucus?
The governor should get behind this legislation. The governor claims to be transparent. We shouldn't need this legislation. The governor would just answer questions and provide the basic information.
I'm not sure you answered my question. Why would he listen to you, or why wouldn't he listen to you?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase that, Dave?
Why would the governor say, you know something, before I act, let's see what Leader Curran and his group have to say?
I got to tell you, Dave, we're trying to pass legislation for transparency for the people of this state, the people we represent. They deserve it. Anyone that believes in transparency and believes in full disclosure to the citizens you represent should be behind this piece of legislation. It's unfortunate that it's necessary, but this is not new to the governor. So we're gonna advocate for this and try to pass it for the people of Illinois.
An indicator, the governor said that there's basic services that are being provided, food, shelter, things like that. Can you elaborate a bit on like the legal side of this, the attorneys that are being funded to help with these other services like work permits or the asylum hearings that who knows when those actually are?
Without providing a full, transparent accounting of the cost and the receipts on what it's being spent on, we're not able to capture exactly how much is being spent in any of those areas. Governor should be doing that. If it's as simple as what he said today, he should be direct and provide the answers to the citizens of Illinois, and quite frankly, to all of you. He's also hiding the information from you in this room. So we are trying to advocate this not only on behalf of citizens of Illinois, but those that are the watchdogs that look into these issues.
Is it just state agencies, or will you look at nonprofit organizations who get grant dollars?
All state spending. So
Has there been any Democratic support for the bill, or is everybody following suit with the governor?
we have just rolled the bill out. I look forward to that conversation with my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. I think everyone knows in the Senate, we have a very good collaborative working relationship, so I would hope that this earns bipartisan support.
Do you plan to have a sit-down with Department of Human Services? Obviously, a lot of this would be with them. Are they willing to negotiate with you on this?
There's nothing to negotiate about transparency. What dollars are going out? They're not providing answers, and it's not one department. Between the House Republicans and ourselves, we've asked all the departments in the release you've been handed, and we have not gotten answers.
To follow up on Kat's question about like these nonprofit groups, have you guys heard in the conversations you're having with your constituents or with, you know, the people you know in the administration as to problems, inflated costs, or anything along those lines with these nonprofits getting these contracts?
I think we as members hear various things within our districts. A lot of this is focused on Chicago, which is an area of the state that we do not represent. But we represent the taxpayers as a whole that are funding this. So whether or not we actually get information in from like a nonprofit, we shouldn't have to rely on that. This information should be coming from the governor's administration.
Gentleman back there has a question.
Is there a way to physically track all the money? I mean, a lot of it went out quickly. It's through a bunch of agencies. It's already spent. Is there a way to even physically account for all the dollars that are spent?
This is ongoing spending. The governor has requested an additional $1 billion from taxpayers to continue to fund these programs. Yes, they can track it. Yes, they can give us a full accounting. They're choosing not to.
Has
Several of
anybody
you
in
will
your Republican caucus tried contacting Governor Abbott down in Texas and asking him to stop sending migrants up here?
We have migrants coming from red states and blue states, New York, Colorado, Texas. This is about Illinois. This is about the governor's spending of Illinois taxpayer Can I finish? This is about Illinois spending of Illinois taxpayer dollars.
But Governor Abbott has been playing a significant role in busing and flying people to Illinois.
We play.
The governor has
I'm just asking, have you asked him to stop?
I have concentrated on Illinois. The governor has created a non-citizen welfare state here. He started that when he first took office, said he wanted to make Illinois the most welcoming state in the nation. And now that we're getting plenty taking him up on his offer, it is costing Illinois taxpayers a lot.
How do you say things like that without sounding mean?
Look, Dave, I am the son of immigrants. My father came to this country, started working, brought out 3 of his brothers one at a time, helped them get on their feet. My mother came over here from Ireland on a boat, met my father. We certainly understand, I understand, this is the greatest country in the history of this planet. I understand why everyone wants to come here. This is not anti-immigration. This is about the burden Illinois taxpayers are being forced to shoulder by the governor's policies. The same issues that exist in the migrant community exist with Illinois families. Illinois families experience homelessness. Illinois families experience food shortage. Illinois families experience issues with clothing. So this is about fairness to the taxpayers of this state, and there's no way to get to fairness without a full, transparent accounting.
You guys don't represent Chicago, but it's been clear in the past few weeks and past year that the black community in Chicago is very upset. They feel like they're getting looked over when it comes to resources. What message would you guys have for that community?
I would say that there's many citizens throughout the state that feel upset because their priorities are being bypassed because the governor is continually trying to position himself on the national stage and making Illinois taxpayers pay for it. The governor needs to think Illinois.
This might be jumping the gun a little bit, but the return on investment, so these state agencies that get this spending, is there going to be, hey, we helped X amount of migrants, get their work permits? Is there something like that that you guys are thinking about?
We would like to see that information, yes. I mean, we want a full, complete picture. Thank you, everyone.